Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking a look at Farming Simulator 22, which is rather ironic because the game hit Steam shelves on 2021, but nevertheless. When it comes to the requirements of the game, they're pretty modest. The minimum GPU is a GTX 660 with at least 2 GB of video memory, and recommended GPU is a GTX 1060 with at least 6 GB of video memory. Now, when it comes to the game itself, it's exactly what it says in the tin, the farming simulator. So you own a farm, you interact with a lot of stuff, and it's obviously a running very long franchise of the farming, or well, I wouldn't want to say farming, but simulators in general. So let's have a look at the options, because there are some goodies hidden in the options here. So first and foremost, we're going with the 4K native, no vertical sync. Frame rate limit is set to 240. There is no unlimited option. We're going with a full screen resolution scaling at 100% and slightly adjusted field of view. Now, the interesting thing starts when we go to advanced graphics settings. This game itself is running on a Giants Engine 9, so this is a in-house built engine to actually support all of this. And what it does, it first and foremost, it runs the game in DirectX 12 out of the box, and it also uses parallax occlusion mapping and is almost nearly live shader streaming and texture streaming, which in some cases people might argue is technically better for the CPU and GPU resource allocation. At the same time, depends on your rig, you might actually run into a little bit of a jittery, stuttery situation from time to time, depending on where about you are and how much you have on screen. So to battle this, the devs actually have put in a lot of good things. Number one, we have well, DLSS for beginners, so from post-processing anti-aliasing there's a DLA option, DLSS, FSR, Intel EXAS, Super Resolution 1 and 3, and you can also toggle in resolution frame generation for those who do not have the RTX or any high-tier AMD card, so FSR will actually help you to generate frames for yourself. When it comes to anything else, everything is cranked up, so we're going with a very high preset right off the box. This is with no bells and whistles, this is just the preset itself, and we're gonna see how it actually works for us, because I can see that the foliage draw distance is at 160%, LOD distance is 130, and so on and so forth. So overall, I must say this is gonna be quite interesting. So let's start a new career, and we're gonna be a new farmer, and we'll see how this game performs, because in general this game is very highly rated in the community. A lot of people are playing this just to unwind, just, you know, to kind of chill out after the long day of work, and I'm kind of curious how it runs. Technically we are playing it in 4K maxed. At the same time we do have an i5-9600k and 4070, so not exactly the best combination for huge open world with physics and moving objects when it comes to it, but hey, that's what we're here to see and check. So let's start the game. We're gonna create the most basic character in existence, and we'll see how it goes. Welcome to Farming Simulator. Would you like to start a short guided tour? No, I'm here just for the frames. And there is a little bit of a... There was a little bit of a freeze at the beginning of the game. Okay, let's go out. And what do we see? GPU load 80%. GPU temperature is slowly getting up. We're pulling 5.9 gigs of video memory, so 6 GB VRAM is correct, 9.4 of RAM, and yes, we're running DirectX 12 native, 100-ish frames for now. I mean, in all honesty, this does not look bad. Now, the game is running from NVMe drive, if that makes a lick of difference, but I can clearly feel a little bit of a stuttering going on. The fact that the GPU load is at 80-ish% is not exactly making me a happy camper, if you know what I mean, because usually we would want GPU to be utilized fully, crunching the numbers on CPU only bite-sized feeds, everything in between, but I mean, even now this is rather playable. It's not that you actually have to be at a constant frame rate in this game anyhow. the mouse sensitivity could be a little bit better, but I've heard the rumor that people are playing this with a controller, so probably, you know, it's gonna be a little bit better. Right, we have 100,000 euros. Why are we in euros? Because this kind of looks USA for me, but oh well. Open help menu. Owned by you, Diesel. Lizard pickup. Aha, we can drive it. Right, let's go for a quick drive around our own property, see what happens numbers wise. Technically the game is kinda running relatively well-ish, but the stutters are still there. I do believe technically, as with all these types of games, if you actually adjust some of the settings which I usually would disable straight from a get-go, which is shadow quality and stuff like this, you're probably gonna have a pretty good time in it. But outside of that, I wouldn't want to say that this is too bad. Let's go wreck someone's field. I hope it's not my own. Get that interstellar vibe going, but yeah, that's not really working for us. We do have some fields, so that's good. Let's try to switch the camera, see what happens. Well, what happens is actually getting frames all the way down to 20. Not 100% sure I like the GPU load not being higher than this. Now, granted, in-house built game engines usually function very well, considering this is a running franchise of simulators. The giant studio is not exactly, you know, the new kid on the block when it comes to it. But at the same time, in comparison to any other game that we've seen on this channel, I would want to say, usually we see at least 98% of GPU load. The only game on top of my head that actually had similar performance, at least for GPU load, was Hunt Showdown, which obviously is a completely different type of game. Let's see if I can get myself unstuck, otherwise my farming days will be over relatively quickly. There we go. Nothing that you cannot do with the all-wheel drive. So what would I want to say? I think that a little bit of settings adjustments, this is gonna be a very good game to actually learn everything about farming, because apart from certain other aspects based on the reviews, this is actually rather realistic take on things. So I would want to say that we're in a good place. But yeah, performance wise, I don't know, this is... The frames seem happy, the frame time seems happy, like 8 milliseconds, 9 milliseconds. All of that is technically fine, but everything else when it comes to these little weird stutters from time to time, I don't know. And I can see that one core, specifically CPU 2, is actually pegged out a lot. So I wonder what that is about. And yeah, I probably will not survive on a farm, considering I can't even park the car back. So I'm gonna leave it here. Perhaps this is one of those games where you need to just walk around or do something so the level loads in or whatever happens. But then again, if you have live texture streaming and shaders, that might give a hiccup once in a while. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is actually pretty okay-ish. I was expecting slightly worse running game, in all honesty. But it is how it is. Ah, I see we need to unfold stuff, okay. And I guess we just start harvesting now. Which I'm not sure this is how you do it correctly, all things considered. But I'm not saying that I'm a farmer or that I have any clue what I'm doing at this moment. I'm just wondering if doing things will improve the overall performance of the game, but hey. Oh, this is literally Far Cry 5 actually to some degree. I'm gonna turn by the edges and just work inwards. I think that's the most efficient way of doing stuff, so we're gonna just end up with one cubicle of unharvested stuff rather than trying to turn and come back again. At least that's how I've seen people do actual farming in real life, so I'm just gonna try to follow their example. But yeah, in regards to performance, yeah, it is how it is, and I'm not gonna speculate why it's like this, because obviously it could be just my rig when it comes to it, but GPU load 80%, I've seen this one before, and usually when the GPU is not being utilized fully, this is exactly what happens. So yeah, I don't know. But even now, I would want to say this is quite relaxing, all things considered. I also think we're wasting a lot of crops by just spitting them out, because usually I think there's a truck behind you collecting all the crop. So I might be driving into losses very heavily here, but oh well. You know, it's no one has come up to me yet and told me that I'm doing it wrong, so I guess I'll just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and if it keeps working, why not? You know, it's just one of those things I do tend to do. But yeah, graphically the game looks pretty good. I mean, then again, for a simulator you actually need more mechanics in-game rather than the eye candy, because end of the day, that's the whole point of a simulator. The first simulators for Microsoft Flight actually looked like a pixel on a pixel block, so it was more about the physics. And in here, actually, I must say, the steering feels pretty much like an actual harvester would feel when it comes to it. You know, it's not exactly a race car, so you kind of need to be a little bit more in tune of what you're doing and how far you're moving stuff. Everything actually is pretty okay-ish. I don't know, I think I'm gonna just finish this field, and that's gonna be the end of it, because this is again one of these games where you technically you could jump in and do a thing depending on the difficulty you're playing on, but I think you kind of really just need to be in that mind space of I'm a farmer now. So actually, look at this, we almost made it. We almost did the whole field. But yeah, this game clearly is a bit more than Mechanic Simulator, because in Mechanic Simulator it was kind of very slow paced, and I wouldn't say rather inaccurate when it comes to it, but you know, when it comes to accessibility of the game, you kind of need to understand that everyone has mechanical experience. At the same time, they give you a farming simulator where you can drive a harvester with no harvesting experience. It's a joke, don't take the wrong way. I think this is actually pretty good stuff, because the devs themselves, they're very open to suggestions. There's been a lot of performance fixes, there's a lot of DLCs, you can acquire them, buy them specifically for what you want to see. So, you know, if you want to see something very specific, they probably have it for you. But yeah, I think this is one of those games where you can just, after a long day at farm, you go and play Farming Simulator. But it does look cool though. Right. Yeah. Look at all of this, I don't even know what it means, but hey ho. Looks like we lost $1 or €1. And they say good work pays off. Growth harvested, fertilized 0%. Needs time. Okay, well, it is how it is. And currently the game actually runs fine. I guess it needed to load a whole bunch of stuff beforehand. Even though the GPU load hasn't actually increased, which might indicate one of two things. A, the game is very easy to run, so GPU is just chilling, or B, the GPU is severely bottlenecked by the CPU and is pushing out at 120 frames and can't actually reach above that. So, I don't know. Go make your own conclusions for this. And I'm just gonna leave you. So yeah, interesting experience. Very interesting experience. Very interesting. Anyhow, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. Over and out.